Well, my name is Duncan Matheson. I'm president of BissettMatheson Communications. We're in Fredericton, New Brunswick, which is on the east coast of Canada. And it's a small firm, but we're spread out in the three bigger cities in our province. And our specialty is actually communications, the strategy side of communications, advocacy, crisis communication, that kind of thing. My background before that was in the media.
What'd you do in the media?
It was on the broadcast side. I was working for the CBC, which is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, a national broadcaster, where I was host of a morning show here in our city. Before that, many years in private radio. I was always on the journalism side.
So we're going to talk about this concept of call to action. Some people might have different definitions of what a call to action is. When you hear that phrase, what is your definition?
My definition is that it is specific instructions on what you want the target market to do. Whether it's go buy a car, go vote, go throw somebody out, whatever it is. It's a specific instruction, so there's no gray area. It's pretty specific.
And how important do you think it actually is to have a call of action?
I think it depends on what you're doing. What we do in advocacy, for example, I think it's crucially important. Because if you're doing the job correctly in advocacy, what you're doing is convincing somebody of your side, whatever it is you want them to do, whether it's get a piece of legislation passed or defeated, or you want the government to do something or some organization to do something. If you're doing the job correctly, you bring them on side so they feel an emotional attachment to that cause, and then they want to know, what can I do to help? And I think sometimes people fall short by not going that last step and saying, here's what we would like you to do. Now, it doesn't help a lot to have a whole people on your side, but they don't do anything. So they're not helping bring the pressure to bear on the electors or whatever the case may be.
What do you think would happen in your case, in the examples that you just gave me, if you didn't put a call to action at the end there?
I think you'd have a lot of people who are on side, but they don't do anything, so it doesn't really help. It becomes irrelevant. You know, you can go to your elected person and say, look, I've got 10,000 people who want you to do this, but that is pale by comparison of 10,000 emails reaching this guy or 10,000 people out on the street with placards.
Now, I hear a lot of people talk about a call of action in terms as if it's a given in almost all cases. We have discussed that we do a lot of professional video, and I'm wondering just how important it is at the end of that video to have a call of action. Is this just a knee-jerk reaction that some people in public relations just assume you have to have it? Are we overdoing it? What are your thoughts there?
I think that's a very good question, because often that's the case, that we in this profession have learned things through generations and it was passed down. We read it in books and that kind of thing. So it does become kind of a knee-jerk, and sometimes it isn't questioned enough. As I say, in our side, which is advocacy work, I think it's important. But in other disciplines, if you're trying to sell widgets, for example, I don't think it's as important. I think sometimes it may be, in every case is different, but I think in many cases, if you do the job and say, and it becomes obvious that this is a great product, I don't think you have to go that step, because I'm going to say, gee, I want to get one of those, and I'll know what to do anyway. I know to go buy it and I know where to find it. So you don't have to tell me to go buy it.
I know when I've questioned things in PR, because my background is broadcast journalism, I can get some pretty negative feedback. Because people will say, this is how it's been done, you're telling us to do it a completely different way. And I'm wondering, when we address issues like call to action, when we raise the possibility that in some cases perhaps it is not necessary, do you think you get people who say, you guys don't know what you're talking about?
Oh, sure. Anytime you're giving advice that seems to be at odds with the conventional wisdom, you're always going to get that. I don't know of any detailed research that makes that argument on one side or the other, whether that call to action has been proven to be crucial or not.
Anything else you want to mention about call to action? Any other issues that we didn't touch on that might be important to bring up?
Only that it's interesting that you would ask me about that in the first place, and we were going back and forth on I guess an email or Twitter or whatever it was earlier, because it got me thinking about it, at a deeper level than I've thought about it for years. So I think that's good every once in a while to do that. But as I say, yeah.
Well, one reason I think that happens is my background in broadcast journalism, corporate, and a lot of times corporate managers would say this equals this, and I would scratch my head and go, how do you know that? And so I think perhaps as journalists with that type of background, I tend to want the proof, the evidence that what you're saying, and so many people in PR say, and they blog about it all the time, you got to have a call to action. I'm like, I know everyone believes that, or a lot of people believe that, but tell me exactly why, again, we definitely need that.
Yeah, I hear you on that, because I've got the same background, 20 years as a broadcast journalist, and you do that asking why is kind of in our DNA. So, and I think it's good and it's healthy that it carries over to what we're doing now.
Duncan, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling. Take care.